Hi everybody, today I'm shooting a Colt lightweight Commander model limited edition.
And I have with me a Kimber Eclipse Ultra 2.
And you're watching Legally Armed America,
The TV show.
Range is hot.
I have a gun on my side right here. Just this week, at the beginning of the week, a young boy, not even 16 years old, was killed because he was playing with a gun. And see, this is an unloaded gun. Right here, Mr. Colt. No, empty weapon. Empty weapon. This is a Glock 40. 50 Cent, Too Short. All of them talk about Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only one. No, all right. Is everybody all right? You all right? Nah, that's it. Walk. I got it. Yeah, I had an AD. Yeah, I'm here. Listen up, guys. But listen up. And I made a mistake. So listen to me. Guys, listen to me. Yeah, listen to me. See that how the accident happened? It can happen to you and you can be blown away. Okay? So guys, never play with guns. See how accidents happen? They happen. Okay, now I'll probably never ever be able to show guns again.
Yeah, I came home one afternoon and I've been baiting some hogs back here in the back because they've been tearing up my yard. I came home and it was later in the evening. Happened to walk out here on the back porch and I could hear them back there eating in the palmettos. So I went inside in the house and got my .22 Magnum and came out here. About that time he came out right back here in the slough, and I didn't know how big he was until I shot him. I got down right here by the barbecue pit, right there in my backyard, about 40, 50 yards, and shot him in the head. Dropped him with one shot. .22 Magnum, full metal jacket, solid points. It dropped him like a 2-inch putt. I went down there and attempted to drag him up the hill, which took me about 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get him up here. And called a buddy of mine, and he wanted him, came and picked him up. It was 278-pound hog shot in my backyard.
Somebody picked the wrong diner.
Guys, I'm pleased to have a special guest here on the phone with me, Katelyn Francis. Katelyn Francis, if you have not seen her videos on Facebook and on YouTube, you got to check them out. We're actually going to have them here. We'll show them throughout this video, and whenever we get done, we'll show the video in its entirety. But you got to see it. Katelyn, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Katelyn, where is home to you? Where are you at right now?
I live right outside of Jefferson City, Missouri.
Okay, Katie's in Missouri. So we've got a couple of states in between us down here in Louisiana with Legally Armed America. First of all, looking at your video, I was impressed when I saw your video online. Actually, one of the guys from the show emailed me and told me I had to take a look at it, and believe me, I was impressed when I saw it. Tell me a little bit about the video, where you were and what the particular competition was that you were competing in.
I was at Sauer Brothers three-gun match, and it's basically you set up a stage and you get to run through it, and they take your time and all of your penalties, and then they add it up, and they score you based on your time and all your penalties put together.
So, and you mentioned penalties, so let's say a penalty, would that be does a miss take from your time?
Yeah, a miss is generally 5 seconds off your time, and like if you don't hit the paper targets with your pistol twice, then that is a penalty. It counts as a miss.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background. When did you first become interested in firearms?
I started shooting a .22 single action revolver whenever I was 5, and my dad let me start shooting bigger guns whenever I showed an interest in shooting, and I really liked the bigger guns more than the .22. And then I went to a lot of local pistol matches or local three-gun matches with my dad, and he was really good at it, so I thought that I wanted to try it, and so I bugged him until he would let me.
Well, I'm sure there's not a lot of young girls your age that are bugging their dads to shoot firearms, so I guess that was probably a pretty unique experience for your dad. And I bet it's equally cool to have his daughter out there on the range with him. I know that's got to be pretty cool for both of you to be able to shoot together. Tell me, what are some of the basic rules that you learned at an early age that you still hold on to and you still apply as a young gun user?
Dad always taught me safety rules, and some of the basic ones are that I was supposed to always keep my finger off of the trigger until I was ready to shoot, and that I had to point it in a safe direction and not point it at anybody, and always treat it as if it's loaded, and to keep in mind what's behind your target.
So don't just spray a target is what you're saying?
Yeah, don't go and don't tack a piece of paper to a tree and shoot it if you don't know if there's any houses or people behind that tree.
Okay, so your dad was pretty instrumental in getting you involved in guns and gun safety at a very early age. Was that right?
Yeah, he started me pretty young, me and my sister.
And just for the sake of full disclosure, tell me what your dad does for a living?
My dad is in the National Guard.
So it's nice
He's a marksmanship, and he teaches people how to shoot.
So it's nice to have a dad in that field if you want to be in gun competition, I'd assume.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I imagine that helps a little bit. That's not a luxury I had growing up, I can assure you of that. You're a lucky girl to have that.
Yeah.
So what types of events, first of all, do you compete in? I know you had that three-gun shoot that we saw the video of. Are there other types of events that you shoot in? Any different types that are not like we saw in the video?
Yeah, actually in April I have a shotgun match that I'm going to in Kentucky, and I shoot some of those. And I also shoot local USPSA pistol matches. Well,
let me ask you this. Are there very many girls that shoot that are either your age, or are there many females, period, that actually shoot in the competitions you've shot at?
There are actually quite a few females. I was surprised that there were so many. But I'm the youngest girl as of last year who shoots three guns.
Okay, well, tell me this. What advice would you give a young girl or boy that might be interested in getting involved in three-gun shooting, or any kind of competitive shooting for that matter?
That they really need to know how to use the gun, and they really need to learn the safety behind the gun. If you shoot good without being safe, it's kind of a waste of time.
Good advice. Good advice. What's a typical day for you like, Katie? Like, let's say on a day when you're gonna be shooting, not a non-shooting day. When you wake up in the morning and you've got something going on that day with firearms, what's a typical day for you like?
I usually practice in the basement dry firing, and I practice loading my shotgun. But it's been too cold here in Missouri lately to go outside, so I'm kind of bummed out about that.
When you're not competing or you're not at the range, what do you do? What do you do in your spare time? Besides guns, what does Katie like to do?
Oh, I like to hang out with my friends, and I play a lot of basketball. I like to paint my nails. Painting my nails is really fun. I know that sounds kind of girly, but
I'm sure there are some girls that can relate to that part of you.
Yeah.
I like to picture Jesus as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Are the president's kids more important than yours? Then why is he skeptical about putting armed security in our schools when his kids are protected by armed guards at their school? Mr. Obama demands the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes, but he's just another elitist hypocrite when it comes to a fair share of security. Protection for their kids and gun-free zones for ours.
All right, we're out here today to talk about a couple of compact, subcompact pistols that are real popular on the market right now. Of course, with the popularity of concealed carry as well as concealed carry guns, a lot of the 380 models are getting a pretty heavy look right now. A lot of people are looking at them. A lot of women are looking at them to carry in their purse. A lot of men are looking at them to carry on their ankles, and some even on their waistline if they're wearing shorts or khakis or something like that. And two of the more popular models that are out right now are the Colt Mustang Pocket Light and the Sauer EP022513. They're chambered in 380 model. We're going to take a real close look at those two today. The Colt Mustang Pocket Light, chambered in 380, and the SIG P238, also chambered in 380, are two of the industry's leading guns. What we're going to do is take a real close look at these today. Both guns are built basically on the 1911 platform. There are some small changes to it, like the safety, and of course, neither one of them have grip safeties on the back side, the back strap of it, but for the most part they are built on the 1911 platform, which it coupled along with the subcompact popularity right now, the 1911's popularity. These two guns are a little bit tough to get your hands on. There's actually a pretty good backlog for both of them right now. We're lucky enough to have one of each today, and we're going to be testing both of them. Chad, Greg, and myself will be shooting this gun. We'll be taking turns shooting it, and we'll be grading it on a 3-point system based on 4 different categories. One will obviously be look. Not that a gun should be based or judged based on its looks, but some people will buy them based on looks, so we're going to talk about that. We'll also do form and fit, how the gun fits in your hand, just the basic form and fit in your hand itself. We'll also look at functionality. Of course, that's a big deal when you're dealing with a self-defense gun, because if you're going to be using it in a critical situation, you want to make sure that the thing is actually functioning. And of course, accuracy. We'll be shooting at 10 feet today, and we figure that that is probably a pretty optimum self-defense distance in order to shoot from. We will not be shooting deer at 50 yards with this gun, either one of these guns, so we feel like 10 feet is probably a pretty optimum distance for determining accuracy with these two guns. So we're going to get started and see if the Colt Mustang Pocket Light or the Sauer P238 are the gun to buy right now. done shooting the competition between the Colt Mustang Pocket Light and the Sig Sauer P238. Both guns did pretty good. I think all three of us were somewhat successful keeping all of the rounds inside the black. We had a flyer every now and then, but I think when we talk about our shooting, we'll actually know why, because one of the guns in particular seemed like it started out a little bit inaccurate, and I know a couple of us had to adjust accordingly. But we shot with a 95 grain full metal jacket bullet. We're not going to say the manufacturer because they're not giving us any free ammo, so when somebody gives it to us, we'll actually say what we shot, but it was 95 grain ammo. Okay, our first shooter was Greg. Greg, the first gun that we shot was the Colt, and the second gun we shot was a Sig Sauer. We're going to rate these things based on looks, feel and fit, function, and accuracy. The first category being looks. What would you say as far as looks? Which gun did you prefer? And give me your grades on those 1 to 3, with 3 being the best and 1 being the worst.
Well, I personally think the Sig's a little better looking gun. Probably just from aesthetically, I like the non-polished appearance compared to the polished, which shows a lot more prints, things like that. I tend to not like the kind of goldish looking color of the Colt. So I would give the Sig the 3 and the Colt the 2. They're both nice looking firearms though.
Okay, now as far as feel and fit, when you held them and grabbed each one for the first time and shot it, and for the sake of full disclosure, these guns were shot and held the first time. We didn't have practice rounds run through them or anything like that, so you actually held it the first time that we shot it. What did you think of the Colt and the Sig when you actually held it and shot it for the first time?
They both felt good in the hand. It's hard for me to say if one in particular felt a little better. I think in general, I like the way the Sig felt in my hand when I presented it to start the shooting. The sights seem a little more drawn. My eye drew to the sights quicker on the Sig than they would on the Colt. They both felt good in the hand, but I still have a preference for the Sig.
So what would you say, 1 to 3, 3 being the best on both of them? How would you grade each one of them?
Again, I believe that the Sig would take a 3 and the Colt would take a 2.
Okay.
Bad.
All right, now function. This is where it gets important. The other two were more aesthetics and feel. Now we're talking about how the gun actually operated function-wise. We talked a little bit off camera about this. When you were chambering the Colt, seemed like you might have had a function issue. Tell me about that.
Yes, when I first racked the first round into it, pulling back and release, I actually had a little bit of a hang. I had to do it twice to get the first round chambered. The Sig Sauer didn't have that issue at all. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and it's a big deal to somebody chambering around if they don't keep one in the pipe whenever they're going to need it for self-defense. Okay, so for that, I guess with that in mind, how would you rate the two guns again? 3 being best, 1 being the worst.
With that being a pretty relatively big deal, I would say that I would give the Sig a 3, no problems at all. Felt good, function-wise, sights looked good down the barrel. And I would give the Colt a 1 on that, because if I can get the first one in, then I'm having an issue.
Yeah, and I would honestly have to say if you were being attacked and you had that issue, you'd probably give the Colt a 0 if you could. Let's talk about accuracy now. Number 4, we looked at your targets and how you shot. Tell me about the accuracy of each gun, and when you were acquiring your target, did the bullet land where you were actually aiming?
Well, the Colt, which was the first time I ever shot it, and actually the first time I ever shot it was 380. First round seemed low left. I again tried to center my target. Thought maybe it was just me, and it was low left again. So I started making adjustments, moving the upper right, and tended to get it more where I wanted it. But it definitely seemed to me that it was shooting low to the left.
Okay.
Sig Sauer. First shot actually dead on center. It felt good, felt a little more accurate. I did have a few here and there. Everything was in the black, but in general, the sights were a lot easier to pick up, and I think that maybe even helped me with my aim.
Okay, so let's grade them. 3 being best, 1 being worst. How would you rate the Colt?
The Colt, I would say 1.5, but I would say a 2. And the Sig, I would give it a 3.
Okay. All right, Chad, first time you held either one of these guns, first time you shot either one of these guns. Let's rate these things. Number 1, on looks, what would you say, scale of 1 to 3, 3 being the best and 1 being the worst, what's your thoughts on these two guns?
Overall, I really like the look of the Colt. To me, it looks like a 1911. I think the SIG has a little bit more of a look of some of the poly guns, which would make sense for that brand. Overall, I'd go with the Colt as far as looks.
Okay, so what would you rate the Colt? 3 being best.
I'd give it a 2.
Okay, and the SIG?
Same for the SIG. I'd give it a 2 as well.
For different reasons on looks, right?
Correct.
Okay, now second rating, feel and fit. Tell me how the guns felt in your hand when you were shooting them.
First time to shoot both of these guns for me. They both felt good in the hand. They both shot very well for me. As far as shooting goes, I mean, not to say my accuracy was great, but they felt good shooting them.
And giving them what rating?
I did shoot the SIG a little better. I liked it a little better. I'm gonna give the SIG a 3. I'm gonna give the Colt a 2.
Okay. Now, again, like we said earlier, we're getting into the important ratings now. Function. When you shot each one of these guns, did you have any issues as far as function of the weapon operating properly?
Colt was my first gun to shoot. I did have a issue with the chambering the first round. It did not feed. I had to re-rack it to get the round in the first time. After the rounds had started, we didn't have any misfires or bad feeds at that point. That first round going in did hang up on me.
Giving you a rating of the Colt as a what then?
I'm gonna rate the Colt as a 1 on that area.
Okay, on function, how about the SIG?
SIG functioned fine, fed the first time, shot well without any issues, so I'll give that one a 3.
Okay. Last one, accuracy. How did you feel? Where were your shots landing, and were they landing where you intended them to go?
The Colt shot a little low for me. I think it shot a low for some of the others as well. I was making adjustments to it as I was shooting throughout the rounds, but with practice, I think that one could be dialed in. The SIG shot better for me right away. I was kind of concentrating a little bit on aiming, sight picture, and the trigger pull, trying to get the feel of the trigger. So I think for the first time shooting these, I think they came out pretty well for me.
Okay, let's rate them then. 3 to 1, 3 being the best.
3 on the SIG and a 2 on the Colt.
Okay, very good. Okay, it's my turn now. Chad and Greg both rated these guns. They had some pretty good explanations as to why they shot like they did, and I had some of the same issues that they did as far as how these guns functioned, and probably a lot of the same issues as far as looks. First of all, the Colt. I felt like the Colt, as far as looks, I like the look of the Colt. I like both of these guns. I think this gun, I like the way the flats on this thing are that polished like that. I actually like that. It's got actually this, I guess that's a bead blast on top. I don't know what gives it the matted feel or whatever the finish. I know that the gun enthusiasts out there are probably screaming right now because I don't know what the right terminology is for that. But what I liked about it, actually I'll go into it a little bit more later, but I like the way the matted part of it feels when you're shooting. The SIG, I'm kind of like Chad on as far as the looks. I like the looks equally on both of these, but for different reasons. This one to me has a more stout look to it. The Colt has a little bit more of a classic look. This to me has more of a new look to it. I guess it's depending on what you like. I mean, the Colt has more classic features on it, where this one, the SIG actually tends to have a little bit more of a modern look and feel to it. So I mean, it's a great looking gun, but for different reasons. Honestly, I have to say I give both of these guns a 3 as far as looks. I think both of them are great looking guns, again, for different reasons. But they're both beautiful guns, and I don't have a problem with either one of them. Feel and fit. My fingers are a little bit long, so the Colt feels a little small in my hand. Now we have to keep in mind this is a backup gun. This is one that somebody like myself, if I'm carrying, I'm most likely going to carry on my ankle. So, you know, I expect it to be small. It needs to be small for the purpose that it's serving. However, it does feel kind of small. It's a little narrow. If you look at the narrowness of the grips keep it kind of narrow. That's the widest part, obviously. The frame itself on the flats is relatively thin. I believe maybe 3/4 of an inch if you look at it, and I think the actual gun itself with the grips on it is less than an inch wide. So yeah, it serves its purpose as far as concealability. The Colt, I mean the SIG, the same thing. I felt like it fit just fine. It seems like it's a little more, I guess, I don't know if it's in my head, but it's because it's just a little bit stouter gun. It actually weighs a little bit more. If you look at both of these guns side by side, you can see the way the slides are made on these two guns. The Colt is actually tapered down as a traditional 1911. The SIG has its standard SIG style on a 1911, the way it stays squared and somewhat flat on top. And I believe it actually, the SIG weighs about 3 ounces more than the Colt. I know that's kind of splitting hairs, but nevertheless, you know, there is a little bit of a difference if you're dealing with height or weight or anything like that. Overall, they both fit good. Again, I know what they're for. They're not my primary carry gun. I know they're a backup gun. So with that in mind, I don't have a problem with how either one of them felt or fit. I'd give both of them probably a 3, mainly because they're serving the purpose that they're supposed to serve. Now, as far as function goes, I didn't have the chambering problem, but in all fairness, I've shot both of these guns before. I've not had a chambering problem with either one of them in the past either. But again, it doesn't mean that anybody else did anything wrong. I just, you know, I pull it back and I let it rack itself. So mine chambered fine. I felt like the Colt, again, because it feels a little small in my hand, I think that the Colt, as far as function, I'm more conscious of aiming it because it feels like I'm shooting a small gun. But the SIG, on the other hand, the SIG feels a little bit stouter, a little bit thicker in my hand, and I think I thought less about shooting. As far as functioning, both of them function just fine. I felt like the Colt actually shot a little bit low. My first 2 shots were low. The first one I shot, I thought that it was operator error. I aimed the bullseye at the same spot again for the Colt, and my second shot was not far off as far as being low as the Colt. So I adjusted after that. So I have to say, on accuracy, keep in mind we're dealing with fixed sights on the Colt. They're actually, the front sight is built into the slide, so there's not a whole lot of adjustment you're going to make with this thing. You just have to make that mental adjustment when you're shooting, that you're going to have to adjust and bring the barrel up a little bit. The SIG, to me, was a little bit inconsistent as far as accuracy goes. Again, obviously a smaller gun's a little bit more of a challenge because you don't have the longer barrel or the velocity to give you a truer shot. So that may be why, again, we could probably attribute that to operator error. So I actually didn't hit any of the bullseye on the SIG, so I'll give it a 2. But again, realizing that I'm the one that was doing the shooting, you could probably attribute that point that I'm taking off of each one of them to me, and not necessarily the gun in that instance.
To picture Jesus as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Legally Armed America.
And don't forget to check us out online at legallyarmedamerica.com.
Range is hot.
I like to picture Jesus as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.